Today on Soole Garage, we are going to install the new Bestop TrekTop soft top on my Bronco. I had a soft top on here originally, the factory soft top, and there's nothing wrong with it. Only have 500 miles on the Bronco, so it's in great shape. Brand new condition, works great, but that was the one thing appearance-wise that kind of bothered me with these Broncos. I've always thought the factory Ford soft top kind of had the appearance of a covered wagon with the bows sticking up and some sag between the bows. So I don't know, I just really like the appearance of the TrekTop. That's why I'm going with it, and I've heard some good things about. It's even a little bit quieter, and you can undo the back and flip it completely up and have total access to the back end. So I'm kind of excited to get this on. I've opened up the boxes and I'm gonna check out the instructions, which is a book. Says takes an hour and 30 minutes, skill level of 3. So got some tools out and got a cup of joe right there ready to go. We are going to start unboxing and read through the instructions and get this soft top on today. So in preparation for this job, I've laid everything out. Pretty impressed with how everything is packaged. The soft top wrapped in a nice plastic bag. Everything bundled up together tight and packed great, so looks really nice. All right, I'm getting started, and the first thing they ask you to do is clean this up real good with an alcohol water solution, and that's so the protective film that I'm going to apply will stick. If you have a factory soft top, there's a bracket that needs to be removed that you will not use. So there's the bracket. I went ahead and removed the soft top latch. And if you can't find your protective film, don't call Bestop until you've unwrapped everything, because this protective film was actually in between all of the window pieces. So it's all there. Again, very impressed with the packaging, and directions are really easy to follow. So let's move forward. And there you go. The protective film is in place. Next, we're gonna install the seal belt, and that's pretty clever. They put a little piece of adhesive on the end so you can peel the adhesive back off better than picking it off with your fingernail. So that's pretty smart. Gotta clean this up first, and then we'll get the seal belt on. So the weather stripping is in place, and this is actually where you start the weather stripping. Pretty impressed with these instructions. I've got this sheet laying out here so I can actually see what bolt they're asking me to use, and it actually tells you how many there are total and even what Torx head to use when you're tightening. Kind of helps to have all this laying out as I'm going through the instructions, and I like to organize my bolts in little piles. So we know what's next. All right, we're gonna get these window retainers on. And after the window retainers are in, and they want you to use your own hardware for this, because the Bronco bolts from my other soft top, the washer's too big. So anyway, there's a seal that goes on top when we're finished putting the window retainer on. So these are the tailgate bar retainer brackets that go on next, and you have to stuff that little piece of foam in. This is the left bracket, and it goes right here. This is why you have to take off the clips from your original latch assembly. Anyway, this bracket gets held down with the same bolts supposedly you removed with your hard top, but I don't have a hard top. So the top bracket that I took off has the same size bolt, and I'm gonna use those. Next is the window belt retainer, and we have to apply another piece of foam. They kind of tricked me. There are these two little pieces of foam were actually stuck together on the same piece of tape. I didn't think they gave me enough. So it's all there. Also, I looked ahead and found out that they are providing me with enough bolts, even though I didn't have a hard top. But in the instructions, it's a little confusing because it keeps telling me to use the bolts that you removed from your hard top. So thanks, Bestop, for providing me with enough bolts. Window bilt retainers are in place. It's kind of important to make sure everything lines up, which is why on these rear clips we left those loose so we could line everything up and then tighten everything down. Let's move on. Next step was to install these window brackets and this main pivot bracket, and they provide hardware for you for that. And you have to use some spacers, especially if you have a soft top. I think with a hard top you use one spacer, and with a soft top you use a double spacer, as you can see on the other side over there. Two spacers. And I've got the pivot bracket and window bracket in place and snug down. So let's move on. Next step is to install these rear halo mounting brackets, and I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those up. And I got up into the back of the Bronco, and what an awesome surprise seeing this Bronco stamped into the metal right here. That's pretty cool. This was actually pretty easy, assembling all of the bows, bow 1.5 and bow 2, and we just use these little pivot knuckle screws to hold that all together. And I have attached bow 3 to the top, and we are ready to lift the top up on here and buckle it down. I think something that'll help is getting somebody to help you. And I removed the antenna, otherwise you have to lift the top a lot higher and fold the mirrors in. So I'm gonna get some help and put this up on top. All right, just had my son help me hoist the top up into place. Got a little bit of plastic on the hood so we don't get any scratches. And the side bow now gets put into place and connected to the pivot bracket. And I'm actually on section 21 in my directions, and it's gone pretty well. So I just installed the upper rear door rail, and then I flipped the bows back, and now I have this main control bow that attaches to bow number 2. So let's get that fastened. Now we throw the top back into the Sunrider position, and there's 2 bolts that need to be put in right there. And this is why they wanted you to kind of leave things loose to make sure that we've got good alignment everywhere. And once those bolts are in, we tighten everything back up, and then we move to the back and we connect the rear halo to bow 3, which is one more screw there. And I'm actually starting to run out of parts, but these rear halo brackets are actually next. So the bracket fastens up here, and then we need to loosen the speaker pod, take that bolt out. Bracket slides behind the speaker pad, and then bolt goes back in. So we'll get this tightened back up. So these are the quarter window retainers, and we need to access the cable, and using this barrel nut actually attach it to the quarter window bracket. And they also recommend that we use a little bit of Loctite. So I'm gonna squirt a little bit of Loctite in there, then hook up the other side. How excited am I? Final bracket attached. Flipped the top forward, latched it down, and I love it. Of course, I still have rear windows to put in, but look how tight that is. No waves, no wrinkles, no covered wagon look. And I love the fastback. Well, once I get the windows in, you'll see what I'm talking about. But overall, I'm really impressed with what Bestop put together. It's well engineered, and all the hardware, everything was top notch. Plenty of seals, and I don't see any water or wind getting in anywhere. Still got a tailgate seal to put in, and the windows, of course. But man, I was so anxious just to get it latched up in front and see how it looked. This is probably closer to 3 hours than the hour and a half they say it's going to take, but I was also stopping and videoing along the way. But let's finish this thing up. And we've moved into the garage, and I have already slid the rear window into its track at the top, and at the bottom I've put the tailgate retainer in, and I'm actually on step 30. So moving right along. Quarter windows next. Well, first time you snap these rear quarters in, they are tight. There's a track that it sets in the bottom, and you have to line up these bosses with the holes, snap it closed, snap it in place, and then we'll pull the top down and Velcro everything. But I sure like how tight that rear window is. No wrinkles. Now I just need to pull the top down and snap the tailgate piece into place. All right, got the windows all in place, and we pulled down and Velcroed this to the quarter windows, and the tailgate retainer is in, and everything is very tight. Actually, the material I'm sure will relax a little bit, but I love how tight it is. Let's just check out the tailgate closing. Seals really good. Love it. Love the look. And thank you, Bestop, for providing me with a quality top and a look that I really like. Still need to get inside. And one of the last things is to Velcro around these bows. Also, I really like the pockets in front. Throw a few things in there. So the last thing to do is take it for a drive and actually see if it's a little quieter than the other soft top. But I sure love it. And for those of you curious about accessing the back, pretty simple. We'll just fold this up. Fold this up. And open the tailgate. And of course we have access already, but we just twist the bottom out and unvelcro the side, unhook the side, flip it up there. And we can have all this room for loading. And we bring it back down and line up the tailgate retainer, snap it, and on the sides there's these little J hooks to snap in place. Nice and tight. Or flap down. Easy. Let's take this thing for a drive, see how quiet it is. All right.
Said last year, can't have.
Well, I mentioned it several times how impressed I am with the Bestop and the hardware that they provided, and the instructions were clear and easy to follow. So we're gonna go for a little drive and see if I can notice this top being a little quieter. Probably won't notice until I get out into some traffic. But right away I can tell it's quieter. I love it. Definitely noticeable. Seems a lot quieter in the cab. Pretty impressed with the TrekTop. And as I mentioned before, it took me about 3 hours to install. I'm kind of picky though, wanted everything to line up really good. And it's just good looking in my opinion. So I'm excited to have this on my Bronco, and thanks again, Bestop, and thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Wow. Rapid Red 2021 Bronco with a Bestop TrekTop. Oh, that's mine. Parked in the parking lot. And we're gonna head home. Thanks again for watching.